by your administration. Yeah. Do you not feel that? I will start by talking about the ceasefire in Syria. Russia, the US, and several countries say a ceasefire could be revived despite the recent violence and recrimination. Do you agree, and are you prepared to try again?
We announced that we are ready to be committed to any halt of operation, or if you want to call it ceasefire. But it's not about Syria or Russia. It's about the United States and the terrorist group that's been affiliated to ISIS and al-Nusra and al-Qaeda, and to the United States and to Turkey and to Saudi Arabia. They announced publicly that they're not committed. And this is not the first attempt to have a halt of operation in Syria. The first attempt was in last February, and didn't work, I think, because the United States, and I believe that the United States is not genuine regarding having cessation of violence in Syria.
Do you believe there could ever be a joint US-Russian military partnership against the militants as outlined in the deal?
Again, practically yes, but in reality no, because the United States doesn't have the will to work against al-Nusra or even ISIS, because they believe that this is a card they can use for their own agenda. And if they attack al-Nusra or ISIS, they will lose very important card regarding the situation in Syria. So I don't believe the United States will be ready to join Russia in fighting terrorists in Syria.
This week, the US has said the coalition attack on Syrian troops was an accident. Do you accept their explanation?
No, it's not, because it wasn't accident by one airplane for once, let's say. It was 4 airplanes that kept attacking the position of the Syrian troops for nearly 1 hour, or a little bit more than 1 hour. You don't commit a mistake for more than 1 hour. This first. Second, they weren't attacking a building in a quartier. They were attacking a huge place constituted of many hills, and there was no terrorist adjacent to the Syrian troops there. At the same time, the ISIS troops or the ISIS militants attacked right away after the American strike. How could they know that the Americans are going to attack that position in order to gather the militants to attack right away and to capture it 1 hour after the strike? So it was definitely intentional, not unintentional, as they claimed.
Did Syria or Russia launch the attack on the Red Crescent convoy this week? And should Moscow be held responsible, as the White House has said?
No, first of all, there have been tens maybe of convoys from different organizations around the world coming to different areas in Syria for the last few years. It has never happened before, so why to happen now, either by the Russians or the Syrian? No, it's a claim. And regarding the claim of the White House yesterday, accusing either the Syrian or the Russian, in that regard, I would say whatever the American officials said about the conflicts in Syria in general has no credibility. Whatever they say, it just lies.
So what happened to the convoy? Who should be held responsible?
Those convoys were in the area of the militants, were in the area under the control of the terrorists. That's what they should accuse first. The people or the militants, the terrorists who are responsible of the security of this convoy. So we don't have any idea about what happened. The only thing that we saw was a video of burned cars, destroyed trucks, nothing else.
Several eyewitnesses have told AP that 20 missiles were launched against the convoy. There is footage of torn bodies. This does not seem as though it would be anything but an attack from the air. Yeah. Eyewitnesses are also talking about barrel bombs, and as you are aware, your administration has been accused of using barrel bombs in such circumstances. You still think this was an attack from the ground by rebels?
Yes, so first of all, even the United Nations said that there was no airstrikes against that convoys. That was yesterday. Second, at the same time of that event, the terrorists were attacking the Syrian troops by missile. They launched missile attacks, we didn't. So we didn't respond. Third, you cannot talk about eyewitness for such judgment or accusation. What are the credibility of those eyewitnesses? Who are they? We don't know.
The world saw the reality of Aleppo. There were UN convoys of aid that were not allowed into the city. Are you denying that that was the case?
The situation has been like this for years now. If there's really siege around the city of Aleppo, people would have been dead by now. This is first. Second, more importantly, they've been shelling the neighboring areas and the position of the Syrian army for years, non-stop shelling of mortars and different kind of lethal bombs. How could they be starving while at the same time they can have armaments? How can we prevent the foods and the medical aid from reaching that area and we cannot stop the armament from reaching that area, which is not logical.
So what is your message to the people of Aleppo who are saying the opposite? That they are hungry, that they are suffering malnutrition, that there are no doctors, that doctors have been targeted and killed in airstrikes, that they are under siege and they are dying? What is your message to them?
You can't say the people of Aleppo because the majority of the people of Aleppo live in the area under the control of the government. So you cannot talk about the people of Aleppo. If you want to talk about some who allegedly claiming this, we tell them, how could you still be alive? Why don't you have, for example, epidemic if you don't have doctors? How could you say that we attacked, they accuse Syria of attacking hospitals? So you have hospitals and you have doctors and you have everything. How could you have them? How could you have armament? That's the question. How can you get armament to your people if you claim that you have people in grassroots while you don't have food? They have to explain. I don't have to explain. The reality is telling.
If you value their work, racing to the scene of whatever it may be to try and save lives, does that mean you would support the recent nomination of the White Helmets for a Nobel Peace Prize?
It's not about the White Helmet, whether they are credible or not, because some organizations are politicized, but they use different humanitarian masks and umbrellas just to implement certain agendas. But generally, if you talk about the humanitarian support, how can I attack hospitals while I'm sending vaccines, for example? Just explain it. You tell me two different things, two contradicting things. One that I'm talking about is the reality, because everybody knows that we are sending vaccines. The other one that we are attacking hospitals. They don't match. They don't match.
Would you support them for a Nobel Peace Prize?
Who?
The White Helmets.
Well, what did they achieve in Syria? And how unpoliticized the Nobel Prize? That's the other question. So if I get answer to these two questions, I can answer you. But I would only give a prize to whoever worked for the peace in Syria, first of all by stopping the terrorists from flowing towards Syria only.
My last question. The US election is now just a few weeks away. How do you expect that a Clinton or Trump presidency would differ in terms of US policy towards Syria and specifically toward you?
The problem with every American candidates regarding the presidency, I'm not talking only about this campaign or elections, generally, that they say something during the campaign and they do the opposite after the campaign. As we see now, the American officials, they say something in the morning and they do the opposite in the evening. So you cannot judge those people according to what they say. You cannot take them at their words, to be frank with you. We don't listen to their statement, we don't care about it, we don't believe it. We have to wait till they become presidents. We have to watch their policy and their actions and their behaviors. We don't have a lot of expectations, we never had. We have hopes that we can see rational American presidents, fair, obey the international law, deal with other countries according to mutual respect, parity, and etc. But we all know that this is only wishful thinking and fantasy.
Thank you very much, President Assad.
Thank you.